Why do some homes always feel calm and clean, even when the people living in them are busy, tired, or behind on everything else? It is not because they clean more. I have swept the floors of palaces and the floors of one-room apartments, and I can tell you, plainly, the difference was never how often they cleaned. It was that 7 small habits, old enough to have names, old enough to have dates, quietly did the work before mess had the chance to become clutter. None of them require a new product. None of them require a free weekend. Let me show you what they actually are, not the vague version you have already heard somewhere else, but where each one truly comes from. The first habit is not a cleaning habit at all. It is a boundary. At the entrance of nearly every Japanese home is a genkan, a small sunken step where shoes come off before the rest of the house begins. Most people assume this is only about hygiene. It is older and simpler than that. The genkan marks the line between outside and inside, physically, and in older Shinto-influenced thinking, spiritually. What you track in from the street simply does not cross that line. The habit is not remember to clean the floor. It is decide once, at one point, what does and does not enter. Everything downstream gets easier because of that single decision. The second habit is something you can see the moment you walk into a traditional Japanese room. There is far less furniture than you expect. Tatami mat rooms are built around low tables, floor cushions, and futons stored away by day. Not because Japanese homes reject comfort, but because fewer raised surfaces means fewer places for dust, clutter, and forgotten objects to collect. A room with 4 legs of a sofa, a coffee table, and 2 side tables has 16 more corners than a room with a single low table. Every one of those corners is a place mess can hide. This habit does not ask you to remove your furniture tonight. It only asks, does this surface need to exist, or did it just arrive one day and stay? The third habit fits in your pocket. A furoshiki is a single square of cloth used for centuries to wrap and carry everything from lunchboxes to gifts to furniture during a move. One cloth, endlessly reused, replacing what would otherwise be a drawer full of single-use bags, boxes, and wrapping paper. The habit underneath it is simple. One flexible object can quietly replace 10 specialized ones, and every specialized object you don't own is one less thing to store, lose, or clean around. Before you buy the next single-purpose container, the old habit asks one question first, quietly. Could one cloth already do this? The fourth habit has an exact date, 2 of them in fact, June 1st and October 1st. Koromogae, literally changing clothes, is a seasonal changeover tracing back to Heian-era court custom, later formalized under school and military uniform calendars in the Meiji era. Twice a year, the wardrobe changes over completely. Winter things stored away, summer things brought forward, and vice versa. Here's what almost never gets said about it. The point was never really about temperature. It was that a closet only ever has to hold 1 season's worth of clothing at a time. Never both, never just in case, never the full year crammed into one space. Most closets don't feel small. They feel small because they're holding a year that hasn't happened yet. The fifth habit is the one interior designers borrow most and understand least. In traditional Shoin-zukuri architecture, a small alcove called the tokonoma holds exactly one thing: a scroll, a single flower arrangement, a seasonal object, changed periodically, never crowded. The rule was never have less decoration. It was let one thing be seen clearly instead of 10 things competing to be noticed at all. A shelf with 12 ornaments asks your eye to do 12 small jobs at once. A shelf with one object chosen and rotated with intention, ask nothing of you at all. The sixth habit is the one you have probably already heard of, usually with the wrong history attached. Danshari, refuse, dispose, separate, is often presented online as an ancient philosophy. It isn't. It's a modern term, coined in the 2000s by writer Hideko Yamashita, built from older Buddhist and yogic ideas about non-attachment. A real lineage, just a much younger word than most videos let on. What Danshari actually asks is not, does this spark joy? That's a different, later idea entirely. It asks something closer to, does keeping this still serve who I am now, or only who I used to be? That question, asked honestly about one drawer at a time, does more than any decluttering weekend ever will. The seventh habit happens only once a year, and it matters more than any single day of the other 51 weeks. In the final days of December, Japanese households perform osoji, a thorough top-to-bottom clean rooted in Shinto purification practice, clearing the home before the Toshigami, the New Year kami, are believed to arrive. The insight is not clean once a year instead of every week. It's the opposite. Because 6 smaller habits already prevented most clutter from forming, the one big clean at year's end is a genuine reset, not a rescue mission. Osoji only works because of everything that came before it. Skip the 6 habits, and osoji becomes a weekend of exhausted scrubbing instead of a quiet close to the year. None of these 7 habits ask you to clean more. Each one only asks you to decide once, at one clear point, the threshold, the closet, the shelf, the drawer, so the mess never gets the chance to accumulate in the first place. Perhaps the cleanest homes were never the ones that worked the hardest. Perhaps they were only the ones that decided early and let that decision quietly hold.